Greetings to the body of the people. We're live on Facebook. We're seeing right now if we're still live on Blog Talk Radio. So bear with me when we get to the studio here, the Blog Talk Radio studio. Yeah, it looks like we're still live here on Blog Talk Radio, and we're still live on Facebook. And hopefully we'll have some folks joining us here soon. Not sure if Cliff's going to be joining us here on Blog Talk Radio or not, but we should have things going here fairly soon. And I may take just a couple minutes. Actually, we'll start this right now because I'm going to have to get off Blog Talk Radio in order to start sharing it on Facebook. So if you see this, click like and share, please. And that would be much appreciated. So we're going back into the studio. Okay, we got Cliff on the line. Good. All right, Cliff. Cliff, you're coming through on the line here. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Excellent. Okay. How's that sounding out there on Facebook? And is that coming through all right? Doing a little bit of a sound check here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Good to hear. All right. So let's get to it. Here, the tonight's show. Chabad Lubavitch Mob Bank for International Settlements / FSB, the Financial Stability Board, Usury Synagogue of Satan. So basically what I've done in the limited amount of space that I have for the title is, I've abbreviated everything down to what the main problem or what sits at the top of all the problems when it comes to human interaction. Some might call it geopolitics. I would just say societal, tribal interaction, nationality interaction. Chabad Lubavitch Mob, Bank for International Settlements, Usury, Synagogue of Satan. So what is Usury and Synagogue of Satan? What's the manifestation of that in this time period right now? It's something called the Chabad Lubavitch Mob. It's Ashkenazi, ethnic Ashkenazi organized crime, and their largest tool, really the only tool when you want to start talking about governing bodies and whose fault this is or who's responsible or who has the authority for X, Y, and Z. It's the Bank for International Settlements, and within the Bank for International Settlements is something called the FSB, which stands for the Financial Stability Board. And what is that as far as what's our moral center here in America? What's the moral center in Europe, and what's the largest moral center religion that there is on planet Earth? That's Christianity. And so to describe it in those terms, using as context that usury, which is in the description of tonight's show, was for many years, longer than it has not been legal. Usury has been illegal, made illegal by our ancestors. It is deemed unacceptable. And who's doing this? The Synagogue of Satan, reference to the book of Revelations, the Synagogue of Satan. I shall make thee of the Synagogue of Satan, those who say they are Jews but are not. The purpose of this program is detailed. This is tonight's episode. The purpose by which this information is disseminated. The reason why we are broadcasting to you is detailed. We detail it every week, but we're going to in more depth detail the only reasons why we do this. Okay, so the purpose of this program is detailed. And what's going to be detailed? Why we discuss the only important issue facing planet Earth, which is building our bridge to God, the creator of all things, through the Son, through God's Son, and what that means. So that's what we're going to cover tonight. So again, we'll get into all the minutia of the silly stuff. We got Comrade Sanders, not Colonel Sanders, but Comrade Bernie Sanders in the news today. So, and they're telling partial truths. Sorry, just trying to wipe my third eye clean from all the pollution and verbal diarrhea that it is subjected to in the Big Brother communication devices. So let's get into this tonight. Okay, there's a mob. This is how everything works. This is the only purpose. There's a criminal organized crime syndicate. I guess criminal is redundant there, but it's only criminal, and there's something called central banks. And the top of that central bank network is the Bank for International Settlements. And their legal arm, or a de facto legal arm, is called the Financial Stability Board, which makes legal all of the illegal extortion tactics of all of its member banks, which includes every central bank of the world, and then the largest privately owned banking institutions and publicly owned banking institutions in those nations that the central bank of those nations is overseas. So, to make it more clear, the Bank for International Settlements is the bank that sets the rules and standards and evaluates all the currency and oversees and is the final word on every level of all the central banks of the world. And there is an arm, an element, an offshoot of the Bank for International Settlements called the Financial Stability Board. And the Financial Stability Board makes legal in a de facto manner, not a de jure manner, in a de facto manner. And if you're not sure the difference, stop this video, go back to doing something else, or look it up and you'll find very, very clearly. In a fact that is outside of any rational law, the Financial Stability Board makes legal, through its own rules and through the action of the law enforcement of the United States of America in combination with the law enforcement of China, Russia, the UK, and all the other criminal governments of the world that have already abolished themselves and have already declared that they do nothing but engage in war against the people and serve the adversary of God. They destroy the planet. They spread pestilence and plague, and they, in a way, attempt to simulate the creator of all things. That's who we're talking about. That's what the Bank for International Settlements and Financial Stability Board. So that's the official arm of this Chabad Lubavitch mob, because it's an organized crime syndicate, and we can't just say, hey, we're this ethnic group of individuals that everyone has been aware are psychotic, and I'm talking about the Ashkenazi. So instead of just saying like, hey, we're in charge of everything, they create this international body to make their usury system easier. And when I say usury system, the Bank for International Settlements is the lender of last resort for all the central banks of the world, and therefore sets the capitalization rate, which is based entirely on compounding interest. And compounding interest is the textbook definition of usury. And usury is a practice that is overtly, time in, again, banned, repudiated, spoken badly about, described, I should say, as the ultimate crime in the book that is the basis of our law, and that's the King James Version of the Bible. But in every version of the Bible, that's what these folks, they'll go, oh, well, the King James Version, they switched this. All the versions of the Bible, based in astrotheology, as are all the religions of the world, based in genealogical records, which we discuss in great detail every week. In every version of the Bible, its literal interpretation and admonishment against usury is clear, including the punishment, which is death. All right, so we go through this every week. Now, that's fine. This is the only purpose why we do this. So we have usury, and then who is doing the usury? The synagogue of Satan, described in the Bible as those who say they are Jews but are not. So what does that mean? It means that the people from Ireland, people like myself, and in England and in Germany and in France, not those who came from Southern Europe and came through the Black Sea region of the border between Europe and Asia, Eurasia. That's why it's perfect when that guy Bremer calls his group the Eurasia group, because that's where these individuals emanate. Whereas our ancestors, many of them emanate from, well, all of them emanate from the West, from the island of the people of God, from Ireland to the East, and include then groups that from the West went to the East and then back to the West, back to their homeland, the Phoenicians, also known as the Israelites, also known as the Scythians or Scythians, because genetics show that. And that's why we ban usury, because that's what our enemy does. And what is the enemy? the enemy is nothing but a bloodline that is a poor imitation of the group of individuals that God chose to be the highest authority on planet Earth as far as being the line of the divine right of kings. So that is our bridge to God. That is our covenant, not the imposter covenant. So that's our only purpose for this program. There's no other purpose. We'll tell you all the lies that you're being told. And I can tell you right now that telling the public who does not deserve to know this information, it's based on morals. It's based on my relationship with the creator of all things. And it's not related to anything else. It's not related to anything else. Sorry. All right, well, we are trying to turn the camera back around. And there we go. So sorry, you saw one of my points of all this. You know, I know it's nice. I know it's good. You know, I know what the best things are. And the best things in life are bought with money. Everything in this society is based on the devil system of usury. It's over and over again in every religious text that has any sort of legitimacy at all, unless it's a satanic text, speaks against usury. Sorry, we've got to block some demons here. So, in all the texts of the world, it speaks out against usury. It repudiates it, and that's what everything is based on. So, when one stakes their claim and they don't say, well, I'm a Republican, or I'm a Democrat, or I'm anti-war, or I'm pro-defense. Oh, I'm against the police. Oh, I support the blue. Whatever sort of thing. I'm a capitalist. I'm a communist. It's all just if there's something that fits into this society, it's about serving the devil exclusively. And I see everybody's getting knocked out and then being brought back in. People having to sign in and sign out to watch the show. That's fine. I see, we see what they're doing and we know exactly what it is. So nothing else really matters except for one's relationship with the creator of all things. And if one has a decent relationship, with the creator of all things, they cannot sit back and abide by what they see in the society, the torture of human beings, the biological warfare carried out by the governments against the people, the scare tactics, the extortion on every sort of level. It's not, we need to find corruption in government and root it out. It's all corruption. There's not one element of corporations or government that's not based in corruption. It's all corruption. Hey, thanks, Lori. There's not one thing that this government, corporation, or society does that is not based in evil Look at the oceans; they're being clogged up. Look at what we're doing to the earth by the presence, especially the presence of this illegitimate leadership. So here's the thing, guys. You got two choices. You can, and this is, history has played this out. History has played this out. You either have the legitimate biblical royal bloodline, or you have their imposter. That's your two choices. You have those two choices, and that's it. You see how it is working under the imposters, under the devil system, under the demon system. Usury does not fuel your life. It does not fuel your car. Oil does. Usury does not fill your belly. Food does. You don't need usury to trade in commodities or to put food in your belly. It's not required. It's the only thing that keeps some people from having both of those things. So it's just that simple. This is the only purpose we have in broadcasting this show. We're telling you this. We're telling you, for example, when they say that there's some shooting in Germany, like they said yesterday, and they blame it on a direction every time. Every time it's described. A far right shooter. Far right? Oh, well, this guy's a far left shooter. Which direction do you like better? Far right is not a thing. Far right is a way to badly describe a direction. Take a far right turn. Far left, left, right. I got a right arm and a left arm. I got a right leg and a left leg. Oh, I'm moving my leg. Now it's far right. Oh, now I'm moving my other leg. Oh, it's far left. Those are directions. If you're gonna like, oh, the right is doing this, oh, the left is doing this, and then add like another more descriptive term to that and say, oh, conservatives are doing this and liberals are doing that. So what do we say each time we talk about liberals and conservatives? When somebody's like, I'm a liberal. Okay, you're a liberal Satanist. No, I'm a conservative. Okay, if you describe yourself as conservative, that means you're a conservative Satanist, whatever that means. And the first word doesn't mean anything. So basically, what one hears, if they hear correctly how to properly read between the lines, if somebody tells you, I have conservative values, that means they worship Satan and they have satanic values. If somebody tells you they have liberal values, that means that they worship Satan and that they have satanic values. Same with right, left, whatever. And who has thought up this trick? This imposter bloodline. You see, they are quote unquote white people. They are from Europe. I mean, because they have to be in order to properly be imposters. That's why they change their names wherever they are. I'm not John Leibowitz. I'm John Stewart. I'm not Benjamin Milikowski. I'm Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm not whatever. My last name is Sanders. I'm not Colonel Sanders.
I'm not Donald Trump. I'm Donald Trump.
I'm not Donald Trump. I'm Donald Trump. So I mean, there you have it. There you have it. That's the way it all works. So do we go through everything? Okay, let's read it from beginning to end. Chabad Lubavitch Mob Bank for International Settlements, Usury Synagogue of Satan. The purpose of this program is detailed. Why? We discuss the only important issue facing planet Earth, which is building our bridge to God, the creator of all things, through the Son, and what that means. So that's what we're doing. We don't get rich doing it. We don't get anything but harassed by our enemy on our own land. But the thing is, we have a higher standing than they do. Everyone is so clueless. I'll tell you how clueless everyone is. I have contact with Bernie Sanders supporters, and they were arguing against the fact that fellow tribesman and usury expert Michael Bloomberg was doing nothing but benefiting Comrade Bernie Sanders. Kibbutz Comrade Bernie Sanders. And this person, this individual, and I can tell you this individual has pure royal biblical blood flowing through their veins. They just don't have any idea about any of those things. It's been blocked. They have been mind warped by the Synagogue of Satan. Just in explaining, I say, look, I'm going to have to suspend my disbelief and know, throw away the fact that I know all of these political theatrics that the public is privy to are meaningless. But if they were not meaningless, the only advantage to the only individual that is advantaged by a Michael Bloomberg, Republican, Democrat, Republican, entering the Democratic primary is for his fellow tribesman, Bernie Sanders. And they say, oh, no, I don't think so. No, he's Bernie's closest competitor. Okay. So here's how it works. Let me break this down. So Bloomberg is pumping money and he's pricing out all of Bernie Sanders' competitors, except for Bernie. Bernie's the only one not priced out of this. He's the only one. And Bernie gets plenty of free publicity on the late night talk shows. They love to talk about him, and it's only in a positive way. Look at that lunatic. Look at that insane Synagogue of Satan old man foaming at the mouth. And then think of like, hey, how are we going to spin this? He's your crazy Uncle Bernie. He's like the character from Rick and Morty. He's like Larry David. That's how we're going to spin all this stuff. So then he gets all this free publicity. But what's going on in the meantime?
I mean, isn't it pretty much the same gambit they're playing that they did with Trump, except it's in a more positive light? Man, the media just hates Trump. The media just hates Bernie. Except with Trump, the media did say negative things. They just refrained from saying the most negative thing. And with Bernie, I mean, they say negative things, but the negative things are often said by people who the public is told that they should despise. So it's like those negative things are positive things in that regard.
Well, certainly.
And everything else is just positive.
Well, let's get right into, the news of the night, in that for the past 4 years, the highest level of government in America has been basically, for the Democrats, it's Bernie Sanders, and for the Republicans, it's Donald Trump. And according to United States intelligence, this is this is who the Russians, quote unquote, are backing, and the elements of truth in that, because it's obvious, because there are Russian individuals, there are individuals in Russia that are basically the real and true power behind Facebook. So, I mean, what's that guy's name, Cliff? Can you look this up? Because like I can't look it up on any devices. The guy's name, it's a Russian Jew, and he's one of the top investors in Facebook. So if anybody else can put that up, we've already covered this on the show because it's been years. I can't remember every name, but I do remember that. And anyway, I'll look it up. Hey, you can still hear me. So while I'm looking up, hey, can you talk? Make sure we're still on the air on Blog Talk, Cliff.
Oh, I was actually looking up.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that's cool. That's all I wanted to know is like if I go off the screen, I just wanted to make sure we didn't lose connection. Russian. Yuri Milner. How could I have forgotten Russian Jew Yuri Milner? Facebook. Russian.
And they have his Wikipedia as nationality as Israeli Russian.
Israeli Russian. Okay. So again, these guys are imposters. They don't have anything to do with Israel. Their ancestors.
And interestingly, his birthday is November 11th.
Oh, okay. Okay. So just let me make this one point about the ancestry of what most folks refer to as Jews, which most folks incorrectly refer to Jews, the Synagogue of Satan. So none of their ancestors were in the Levant region during the biblical times. And some, if not most, of the ancestors of the Western Europeans were. Let's put this another way. All of Yuri Milner's ancestors were in Europe, on the European continent, during the biblical times. And none, all of Yuri Milner's ancestors were in Europe during biblical times. No. Yes. Sorry. And some, but not all of my ancestors were in the Levant region during biblical times. And I would say a vast majority of the bloodline DNA. So in to keep it very, very clear, the Israeli people, they have absolutely no claim to the Holy Land, to the Levant region, to quote-unquote Israel, which is the name of a human being in the Bible. And then his sons became the tribes of Israel, which is also an allegory of the 12 zodiac signs. And Israel is the manifestation of Egyptian gods, which is representing the pharaonic line, because all Egyptian pharaohs take on the attributes of the pantheon of Egyptian gods and goddesses. We've been pretty clear about this from the beginning on the show, Cliff. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. People
Right.
who call themselves Christians and say that they love Jesus and love the Bible will deny this and say that this truth is Satan, which all that means is that they serve Satan.
Right, they don't know what any of the words that they're reading mean. And when you look into the background of wrong interpretations, they are absolutely absurd. Absolutely absurd. Because anybody who knows anything about the Bible and what it is, they know absolutely with 100% certainty that the Gospels, they are based entirely and in many cases copied and pasted from more ancient texts than the Gospels. So this is not an affront before God. This is the information of what God created. It's the truth of reality rather than the lies of deception. So there's something else. This sort of these symbols, these archetypal symbols through which the adversary has become masterful in using. They're not his symbols. They're not the Synagogue of Satan symbols. The quote unquote Star of David, hey, that predated the ruddy King David. So what's ruddy mean? A lot of people, they don't like my pinkish red face. They hate it. It's an affront to them. That's ruddy. That's ruddy. It's not white. It's ruddy. So what folks call gingers, that's what this line is. That's what it shows. That's what it represents in a manifestation. So these symbols, like the so-called Star of David, the Rothschilds use that. It's on the Israeli flag, but that's not theirs. That's called Chaldean shrines from the Chaldeans. So let's see. Chaldean shrines. Chaldean shrines. Oh man, they don't want us to look up the words Chaldean shrines. They tell you, even when you type in every letter, they try to switch it, change it. No, not Chaldean shrines. Oh, yeah, Chaldean tribes, Chaldea, crystal links. What does trine mean? Chaldean astrology. Everything but that until we get to one point. The 21 courses of the Brotherhood of Light lessons. Which, hey, I say, like, it's a good idea to be familiar with the works of Elbert Benjamin. So let's see what the Brotherhood of Light. Amen. The Brotherhood of Light. What else is there? I mean, as far as reaching high levels of spiritual enlightenment, I mean, you can't beat the Brotherhood of Light. The two interlaced trines used by initiates of the older centers of civilization to signify, among other things, the involution and evolution of the soul through the cycle of necessity. So when you see the Israeli flag and you're like, that's the Star of David, that represents it's a intellectual concept of sexual congress between the male and female brain, balance in one's own center, their bridge to God in their hypothalamus, the coming together of the male and the female, like mammalian sexual congress. I'm just explaining this to you. Just explaining it to you. In addition to that, the two interlaced trines, I'm talking about the so-called Star of David, which is a symbol not of this particular bloodline who has stolen it, but something completely different. And it doesn't mean 666. We'll talk about the real devil code, which is the 555 code. And that's the simulation. And it's really only the devil code when it's used to simulate the authority and the actions of the creator of all things. And just look up in the binary calculator what the binary code for 555 is. We've explained this a million times during this show. That's how we're communicating in the code that you and I are communicating in. 100011110011. That's the binary code for 555, which is why the Washington Monument is 555.5 feet high. Let's get back to the interlaced trines. Okay, so what are they? Used by initiates, the interlaced trines are used by the initiates of the old centers of civilization, Ireland, the root, the basis of all civilization, where all sciences and agriculture originated, not from the Fertile Crescent. They got it the opposite, to signify, among other things, the involution and evolution of the soul through the cycle of necessity. The down-pointing trine, which is often dark in color, indicated the descent of the soul into the material conditions for the purpose of gaining necessary experience. The up-pointing trine, which often was light in color, indicated the ascent or the evolution of the soul back to the realm of spirit after gaining experience in matter. Amen. Okay. So that's what we're talking about. Everything you see is an imitation, is a masquerade of what simulation of what God created and the way God intended things to be. God didn't intend an ocean full of plastic. God didn't intend, for countless slaughterhouses in the United States of America slaughtering 40 pigs every second. In fact, God commanded us, man, don't defile your mouth with swine. He didn't say, kill swine, eat pigs. And so, we go through what God says in the book of Revelations, because we're in the time of Revelations. The other stuff's in the past. I believe the best is the Edenic model, the model of Eden, where God instructs, hey, this plant, all that's your meat to eat. That's your food, buddy. Good? Oh, good enough for Adam? Good enough for me then. Good enough for me. But he goes further in the book of Revelations. We covered that last week. If you wish to look into that, you can look into that. I'm not going to tell you the same though. Or, hey, listen to last week's episode. Let's see. The descendants of the tribe of Judah had and still have a perfect right to use this symbol, which has been handed down from time far more ancient than that of their Babylonian captivity. But they have no exclusive claim on it merely because they appropriated it. No more than they have an exclusive claim on the money of the world because they have succeeded in various areas of appropriating it. And I believe that C.C. Zane is mistaken in part of his assertion there, because the descendants of the tribe of Judah are not the same individuals he's referencing when he says that this tribe has no more. They have no exclusive claim on the money of the world because they have succeeded in various areas of appropriating it. Two other religions also use it with equal right. Interlaced shrines were used in ancient India, and today the Theosophical Society, with headquarters in Adyar, Madras, India, uses it as their symbol. As they use it, in the center is the phallic symbol, the symbol of life. Around the outside is the serpent of wisdom, and on the top is a swastika in a small circle. Above this circle are some Sanskrit characters. Because the Theosophists use this so-called Star of David as part of the symbol indicating their philosophy and aspirations, does not mean they took it from the quote-unquote Jews. India had it long before the Jews quote-unquote used it. And again, there is some confusion, because the so-called Jews and where the so-called Indo-Aryans got this information, this symbol is from the same place, from west to east, starting in the Isles of the West, the Irish Isles of the West, the British Isles of the West, which went west to east. So this is why we do this show, because we're telling you this information. We're telling you this information because it is important. It is essential. The religion of the stars also uses this so-called Solomon's seal as part of their symbolism, expressing its philosophy and the aspirations of Stellavrians. Inside the interlaced shrines, however, is the word of deity, Yad-He V'Wahi, written in the square-formed Chaldean letters, which were in use before the Jews started using them. And again, he's misusing the word Jews. We'll say from now on, and actually we will read between the lines, and when he says Jews, we'll replace that word with Synagogue of Satan. All right, Max needs some water. All right. So We are going to take a trip to the kitchen. And, oh my gosh, my tie has been, oh my gosh. I didn't even notice this. My apologies. I'm looking like freaking... Anyway, whatever. It doesn't really matter. My collar not being properly buttoned does not make any of this information that I'm telling you untrue. That's why I often wish for a spokesperson, but they wouldn't know how to do and say anything else, because that way we could possibly reach more people, but we're reaching the absolute proper number of people here. All right. The religion of the star also, we're repeating this, also uses this so-called Solomon's seal as part of their, okay, let's get to, well, let's just start with the whole paragraph. The religion of the star also uses this so-called Solomon's seal as part of the symbolism expressing its philosophy and the aspirations of Stellarians, yes. Inside the interlaced trines, however, is the word of deity, Yad-He-V'Wahi, written in the square-formed Chaldean letters. Which were in use before the Jews started using them. Again, were in use before the Synagogue of Satan started using them. Thus written, it interpenetrates and exercises a guiding power over the whole universe, but sets forth the four universal principles which this superintelligence, instead of being moved by whim or prejudice, always operates. The joined sun and the moon at the top of the symbol indicate that spirituality may best be reached, and still further evolution in spiritual realms Sorry, this is tiny writing, so my eyes are not very good. My eyesight, I should say. The joined sun and the moon at the top of the symbol indicate that spirituality may be best reached, and still further evolution in spiritual realms accomplished through the marriage of a male and a female soul. Interlaced trines indicate the belief that astrological energies powerfully influence all life, and that a knowledge of them will enable the aspirant to avoid many misfortunes he otherwise would encounter, and permit him to best advantage to develop his talents, and so conduct his life that he can most successfully advance his own spirituality, and at the same time contribute his utmost to universal welfare. All right, so there we have it. This is more of the appropriation of the religion, the one religion of the stars, the basis of all the religions of the world, the basis of Christianity and where it originated from, and basically what your choices are in life as far as how to save the planet. Either jump on one side, which is the liberal, conservative, status quo, usury-based banking system, everything based on usury money system that destroys the planet, or the rational God system that's talked about in the Bible and is the basis of all legitimate law. It's your two choices. That's it. Cliff, what are you thinking about what we've been discussing so far tonight?
It's pretty much the usual stuff. I mean, it's the basics, but I mean, the basic things are the things that probably need to be repeated the most. But I mean, at this point, it's very apparent that the masses are like locked in just like mind control of following the satanic earth destroying system, and it's just like I don't really know what to think about it other than it's like really pathetic. But I mean,
here's what I've noticed. Here's what I've noticed, Cliff, and I'll see, like, when you explain each separate incident to them in great detail, a certain amount of folks will listen and get it, but they seem unable to apply that to everything. Does that make any sense?
I think that goes to the part of why there's such an attack on cannabis, because there have been studies, or people have told me there's studies that show that cannabis helps one connect information they learn to information they knew previously, and then,
right.
Connect the dots.
Right. Oh yeah, and the folks I'm talking about, they're putting everything into their bodies that does the opposite of what cannabis does. It disconnects the dots. They're like, oh, fluoride in toothpaste, that's good for your teeth. Okay. Well, I mean, that's very telling. I would say, but I would also say that it's one of those things like everything else. Like, yeah, you probably can't reach this high level without use of cannabis, as it is instructed in the Holy Bible. But just using cannabis is not going to get you to this level of cognition.
Yeah, very, very much agree. There are many individuals who utilize cannabis that are as mind controlled as anyone else out there. But again, I'll say there's definitely a telling effect. There's a significant difference of the effectiveness of the mind control, I would say.
Sure.
I might even go as far as to say that utilizing cannabis makes one like sort of more, they're more repelled by the notion of the mind control, whereas those who seem to have apprehension towards cannabis seem to, kind of revel in the fact that they don't control their own minds. Almost.
Certainly. I would say that is a true and fair statement, but it's also, what else are these folks doing, if they're freaking smoking meth and consuming cannabis, the meth is going to it's going to be more powerfully bad than the cannabis is good. If someone's, doing something else like that, or drinking a 12-pack of beer and then smoking cannabis every night, then yeah, the cannabis is going to have a limited effect. But in any event, it doesn't matter. Like, again, like we always say, if you disagree with me, or I should speak for myself, if one disagrees with me, I don't care. One's opinion is completely meaningless. I'm not doing this I'm not putting out this information for anybody to judge and attempt to change my mind or influence me in any way. I'm the top influencer when it comes to the information that's in my own mind. If I'm saying it publicly and one challenges me, they're being argumentative. And I don't care. The purpose is not, what do I do? I mean, as soon as we get negative comments on here, and I can still read them. But they're blocked. They're blocked. Yahweh, this guy Marshall Thompson of Nassau, Bahamas, and I'm not sure where in Florida he lives, but he can be found. Says Yahweh and Satan are the same deity. No, that's not true. What else? Legal does not necessarily mean lawful. Okay, hey, thanks for repeating my talking points. Matt Breezy says God does not exist, lad. Okay, so these people have been blocked, but I saw, I see this stuff. Simon Nichols, don't get out much, do ya? Okay, that's a good one. I don't get out much. Yeah, that's true. That's true. So that guy is probably some sort of, could be some sort of government agent spying on me. I mean, would you be able to tell I don't get out much? I mean, I don't know. What does that mean? Get outside? Go places? Go to different... I mean, I used to get out much. I used to not spend very much time in my house, inside. I used to get out all the time. And now that's become something that I don't wish to do as much. But in any event, so we're acknowledging these demons. Kyle Brana says, I am God. I mean, your perception of God comes from you, but you are not the creator of all things, Kyle. So if that's how we're going to define God, that's how I define God. Or one of the ways. I guess God is indefinable, because that at the end of the day is the real definitions. But the creator of all things, that's not what you are, Kyle. But Armedio Juicia Curvanus says, are you David Duke? ? Is that a good question, Cliff?
I mean, I don't know. It seems like the demons are out tonight.
Yeah, they are. They are. But so that's the the demon update, and that's what the demons have to say. What would you call them? Mentally disturbed individuals. I mean, there's lots of them out there. I would say most individuals are extremely mentally disturbed, emotionally disturbed, and the more one fits into society, the more emotionally disturbed, spiritually unwell someone is. I mean, this is the pretty obvious thing. I'm not really sure what else to say about that, Cliff. We investigate this subject matter a lot, but let's really get into this. There's a lot of good quotes that philosophers have made over the years regarding this subject. You know, it's no, I'm paraphrasing, it's no sign of wellness to fit into such a sick society, is basically the idea behind my line of questioning at this point. It's not really a question for me. I've seen it. The more one participates in the broader society, the more one accepts the broader society and participates in its rituals, the more mentally ill, morally bankrupt, and worse of a living creature one is. I don't know. Let's open that up for discussion. What are your thoughts, Cliff?
I mean that's how this current society, that's how this de facto government is designed. I mean, again, back to the slaughterhouse example. Most people promote the psychopathic genocide of life on the planet and think that's what they need to do to survive. They don't give a second thought about it. Just, oh, well, that's just how society works. And if we didn't kill cows by the millions and billions, really, and chickens by the billions, we couldn't feed people. And while we fail to feed millions, so it's beyond board. You either laugh or cry. It's just like I don't really know. It's the idiocracy factor. It's the just extreme Satanism of everything. It's a lot to sort of take in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's difficult to really, yeah, take it all in, put it into words. Yeah, everything.
I mean, it's just going out in society every day. There's just like a new, like, nondescript incident. It just shows me how absurd everything in this society is. I mean, especially out here in like San Francisco, where it's like there's just new tents popping up around the city like every day, and allegedly there's more billionaires per capita in San Francisco than anywhere else in the world, and it's like there's more than enough resources, and people are out here sad that Andrew Yang dropped out of the rigged Democratic primaries because they wanted $1,000 a month, when that is quite literally scraps compared to the quadrillion in circulation.
Yeah, that $1,000 a month thing is pretty absurd. I mean, we go through this every week. That would cause an immediate, you know, crash. The $1,000 would immediately be worth a tenth, and then in 2 weeks it would be worth 100th of what $1,000 was the week before everybody got their $1,000. I mean, that is just the stupidest idea I've ever freaking heard in my life. You know, an idea that would be less stupid is, hey, everybody has a voucher to get a certain amount of each commodity, and that one of those commodities would include a house to live in, and not just any house. But because again, everything that they're doing in this usury system is giving you their scraps. That's it. It's nothing else. It's like, oh, hey, Michael Bloomberg created 22,000 jobs. Oh, he gave me a job. That's his scraps. It's worse than his scraps. You're his slave for his scraps. What he would just throw away, that's what you live on. What he would just as soon throw away, that's the thing he uses to say what he's doing is not enslaving you. And I'm just using him as an example. So this goes for every individual benefiting from society. So like, yeah, everybody's a sinner. Yeah, everybody does wrong. Yeah, we're natural born sinners. But yeah, some people like, cut somebody off in traffic once, and another guy rapes and murders. It's they're entirely different ends of the spectrum. I mean, cutting that's a bad example, because cutting people off in traffic is, I've done bad things, but like cutting people off in traffic, that's pretty bad, because like that could result in death. So let's pick some other thing. I don't know, like cheated on a freaking test in school. I've definitely done that. I don't feel bad about it either. Is it technically wrong? Yeah. Okay. So that's the example. That's kind of bad. But what these guys do is really bad. So somebody making $50,000 a year, they're the equivalent of like stealing an apple from the fruit stand. But somebody making $1 million, that's the equivalent of like, murder. And somebody making more than that, it's worse than murder. It's like mass murder to be a millionaire. And then like, billionaire, trillionaire, that's like raping the entire planet and murdering the entire planet. So that's the level of this stuff. So yeah, somebody making
literally what's going on right now.
Yeah, absolutely. So somebody making $80,000 a year, hey, I mean, yeah, you should probably, live, when God's law is enforced, yeah, your lifestyle is probably not going to be as good. You should be punished for, under man's law, you should be punished for what you do. Millionaire and billionaire, you're done. Your punishment is death. And where do we get that? Where do we get that? We get it straight out of the Bible. We get it straight out of the Bible. So why must we, execute millionaires and billionaires? If we wish to enforce God's law, well, I'll read it to you. I'll read it to you here. Usury Bible. Okay. Let's see. All right. I'm going to have to do a better search. Everything, when I looked stuff up, it's just somebody's BS explanation instead of just sending me to a primary source. That's really annoying when that happens. Okay. Verses about usury. Let's see. All right, where's my favorites? Hath given forth upon usury. Wait a second. Okay, I'm gonna have to find another link. This isn't King James. Where's King James? Oh, there it is. Sorry, folks. All right. Here's one. Take thou no usury of him, or increase, but fear thy God, that thy brother may live with thee. Okay, that's pretty good. Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury, nor lend him thy victuals for increase. That's like food and stuff, more than just food. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury. Amen. Let's see. Right. Hath given forth upon usury, and hath taken increase. Semicolon. Shall he then live? Question mark. He shall not live. Semicolon. He hath done all these abominations. Semicolon. He shall surely die. Semicolon. His blood shall be upon him. Okay. I've read that verse out and others about usury 100 times, maybe more. That's a lot. 100 times. Does it take 100 times for folks to get things? Yeah, it does sometimes. But so when we say like, hey, if you're going to enforce God's law, you got to execute all millionaires and billionaires. Oh, that's horrible. You can't. That's crazy. Oh, are you saying that you're not a Christian? Is that what you're telling us? Because what have we been referencing all the entire show? The Synagogue of Satan, the money supply. Yeah, we often talk about the weapons of war, but the money supply and control of the banks, that's synonymous with controlling the weapons of war, because that's how it's all paid for. So we say, yeah, I mean, if you're going to enforce the biblical law, and if you really wish to stop all the destruction and animus, ill will, wrongdoing on planet Earth, it starts with money. And so here's where we're instructed to execute all millionaires and billionaires. It says it right here. Ezekiel 18:13. Hath given forth upon usury, comma, and hath taken increase. What are they talking about? Compounding interest. That's the basis of everything in the world. In the world of trade and exchange. In the world of, hey, you're living on planet Earth. You are not going to be able to do that without being a victim in this usury system. And if you're not being victimized by it, what does it say? That means that you're given forth upon usury and you're taking an increase. Then the next question is, if you're doing that, shall he then live? It's a question. Hey, if somebody's given forth upon usury and they're taking an increase, if they're benefiting from this usury-based society, if they're benefiting from this monetizing of debt system of the Federal Reserve Bank, the Bank for International Settlements, the Bank of Russia, the Bank of England, the Royal Bank of Scotland, the People's Bank of China, whatever, if they're benefiting from it, then the next question is, shall these guys live? Hath given forth upon usury, and hath taken an increase. Shall he then live? Question mark. Here's the answer. He shall not live. Oh, okay. So his punishment is death because he's given forth upon usury and taken an increase. There's an action, then there's a question of what's the punishment for that? Then there's the answer. Then that's death. The death penalty, capital crime. It's all the sins, all the wrongdoing rolled up into one. Rolled up into one. He's given forth upon usury. And he's taken an increase. Shall he live? No, he shall not live. Why should he not live? Because it's all these bad things rolled into one. All the sins of the world rolled into one. Usury. Well, he shall not live. Why? Why shall he not live? He had done all these abominations. So all the abominations are rolled up into usury. He shall surely die. It's not like, oh yeah, he shall die. Yeah, he shall die. Yeah, everyone shall die. He shall die. Let's let it slide. No. He shall surely die. Meaning like, hey, you can't let these guys go. They'll destroy the planet. They'll enslave your tribe. They'll enslave you. They'll kill you if they don't enslave you. And everything you hold dear, they will make a mockery out of.
Let's get into some of those abominations that are referenced in the prior verse, in verse 12. Hath oppressed the poor and needy, hath spoiled by violence, hath not restored the pledge, and hath lifted up his eyes unto idols, hath committed abomination. So that's all you're doing when you commit usury. All that rolled into one.
Amen. Okay. He shall surely die. Meaning, this is how I take it. There's a triune meaning behind every word and verse in Scripture. That's for certain. But many, if not most of the time, the literal meaning, when read properly, when understood properly and comprehended properly, is primary. He shall surely die. His blood shall be upon him. He did it. He knew better, and he did it. Not, oh, he did it. We gotta kill him, but let's be sad about it. No. That's not how it goes. It goes, hath given forth upon usury, and hath taken an increase. Hey, you benefit from this usury system? Shall he then live? Hey man, what should we do with these guys who are benefiting from this demon usury system of compounding interest and making folks work for $8 an hour when there's quadrillions of dollars in circulation? More money than the value of every thing that could ever be bought and sold from now until the sun burns out. Until the end of time. So yeah, $8 an hour. So yeah. Shall he then live? That's the question. Should we let these guys live? And I'm not advocating anything except for, this is, if one calls themselves a Christian, they got to agree with this. And if they don't, they're not a Christian. And therefore they work for the adversary of God for all the reasons that we've laid out. He shall not live. Simple. He had done all these abominations. Cliff, what are the abominations again?
Let me pull them up. Hath oppressed the poor. So, hath oppressed the poor and needy, hath spoiled by violence, hath not restored the pledge, and hath lifted up his eyes to the idols, hath committed abomination.
Yeah. He shall surely die. His blood shall be upon him. He did it to himself. There we go. Case closed. This is what we do. We run a prosecution here. Everybody's convicted. We don't have the time to do what our enemy does to, use these language tactics, these black magic language tactics like capitis diminucio, by, writing our names in all uppercase letters, turning, you know, uh, individuals or pretending to turn individuals into a dead body so they can be summoned and ordered around, boss them around. We don't have time to do that. We don't have the inclination to do that. But what we're saying is these guys are convicted, and we're not going to go and individually, diminish their capacity. All of their capacity is diminished all at once. And that goes for the public. I mean, that goes for everyone involved, including those slaves who don't stand up and allow others to be enslaved with them. Those crabs in the barrel who grab at each other as they're all attempting to escape and drag them back down. So we don't give any credence to any of this stuff, except for, what we know is right. We don't need to be told what was right. We don't need to have anyone explain anything to us. We know what's going on. And we're telling you what's going on. All right. So, hey, Cliff, what kind of thing would you like to discuss next? Because I think we've pretty much covered this aspect of.
I guess one thing I've been thinking about is sort of reports saying that the so-called coronavirus is affecting mostly people of Asian descent, maybe get back on sort of genetics and stuff, and how connecting the dots there with the fact that it's been on record that Israel's developing or has developed essentially race war weapons, ethnic target bombs, so that I would assume this means viruses. So it seems as though this coronavirus might be a genetic specific or a strain of different batteries of respiratory diseases or illnesses that are targeted or those of particular Asian descent are more susceptible to.
Yeah, sure. I think that's really in the news. What was going on with the riots in the Ukraine? Why the Ukraine is constantly in the news. Right before we went to air, it said 11 out of the 13 individuals tested in a quarantine site in Nebraska tested positive. Right before air, we talked about, or they were talking about in the media on the nightly news about how the CDC and Defense Department are urging hospitals, local governments to get ready for a pandemic. The coronavirus is definitely something that is, whether it's blown out of proportion, whether it is underreported, it is having real effects on the agenda of our enemy. The warfare agenda is being played out, and they are stating that that Asians are more susceptible, and in fitting in with that, they're urging individuals in the United States not to go on cruises to the Far East. So, I mean, I don't know why anybody would want to do that in the freaking first place. Those cruise ships are disgusting. I've been on a cruise ship, and it's basically, I went when I was 17 years old, and basically everyone that went with me on a high school trip spent all of our time drinking and gambling, which, probably not the best things to do, but that's what everyone did on this cruise ship. Oh, and gorging ourselves on the endless food. So yeah, I mean, they should cancel all cruise ships. I mean, there's no reason for quote unquote cruises to even exist, except for right now it seems to be spreading this coronavirus, or at least giving a pretext for increasing the martial law quarantine agenda of the United Nations and the United States government, the de facto masquerading United States Incorporation, which, as we say every week, the United States government abolished itself. When it starts acting against, in contradiction to its only purpose for existing, then the government's abolished at that point. I mean, it's like
like when ice turns into liquid, it's no longer ice.
Exactly. I was gonna, yeah, I when hydrogen and oxygen come together, it becomes water, and it's no longer hydrogen or oxygen. I mean, it's those things combined with that turn into something else. Your example was better, Clifford. Yeah, it's something else, but it's not the United States of America. Or it's something like this. When they change the definition of a word, it doesn't change, it just changes the description of something. See, like, when we say, like, the word eat, it's not actual eating, it's just a way to describe something that's done. When I say I'm sweeping the floor, the word sweeping doesn't sweep the floor. It's just a word to describe when I take a broom in my hand and I move it back and forth. It's not the actual, it's just a description. It's not the real thing. It's it's a way to describe.
If you were to say you were sweeping the floor, but you actually had a mop, you wouldn't be sweeping the floor regardless if that's what you said you were doing.
Exactly. So, amen to that. We've covered all this. Like when folks go, "Hey, Chris, that stuff you're saying is anti-Semitic." Like, well, it's not actually not anti-Semitic. It could be anti-Khazarian. It could be anti-certain bloodlines of Southern Europeans, but it can't be anti-Semitic because the Semitic refers to number one, Levantine area or Middle Eastern area languages, and to a lesser degree, through this bastardization and mischaracterization, miswording, it has come to represent people, which it had not done, or persons both from a Levantine, Middle Eastern area. And when that's explained, then the next response is, well, that's what most people think. Well, exactly. Just as with most other things, most people are incorrect most of the time. So yeah, absolutely. Words, word tricks, all of it. That's why action is the only proper, way to describe something or to do something. We're proactively convicting and sentencing all of our enemies all at once. So instead they go like, oh, well, you got to pick somebody. You got to prosecute one person at a time in this way. And it can't be done. Oh, these people, the Financial Stability Board says they can't be prosecuted when they're working for the bank or after they work for the bank or until they die. That's what the financial... So you can't go after them. Go after somebody else. Oh, okay, go after somebody who's less culpable for the crime rather than going after the person legally who's most culpable for the crime. Sure, yeah, let's play that game. Oh, you got to go after them one at a time too. Oh, okay, instead of verifying that everyone is guilty of this crime, you want us to waste our time and go after one individual at a time? Yeah, okay. We'll do that. We'll play that. We'll play your game on that. No, that's not how things work. They're all guilty. They're all, because they've cast their lot. They've cast their lot in with Satan. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They know everything's based on usury. They know what the Bible says about usury. They know the history of Europe where our people banished usury and banished usurers and punished usurers with death when warranted. So that happened in the West. It happened in the so-called Middle East. It happened in the Far East, where our ancestors were. It happened in the Near East. It happened in the Americas. Usury was not accepted. Who would accept that? That's the next question. Who would accept this stuff? Who would accept? We tell you how things work. We show you and demonstrate how things work. Who accepts this? What kind of an individual would accept this? Oh, usury? Yeah, sure. No problem. Yeah, usury, no problem. Oh, usury is the basis of everything? Yeah, no problem. No worries. Do I get a good job? Do I get to be a slave doing a pointless activity for $35,000 a year? And $200,000 worth of mortgage debt? Sure. Oh, they can take this house away from me at any time? Yeah, no problem. Yeah, let's go. And poke me and all my family up with poison? Yeah, sure, no problem. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Oh yeah, and feed me poison and make me pay all my money for it? Yeah, no problem. No problem. Pollute my water supply? And then charge me for it? Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. I mean, and the levels of deception. I mean, I was watching this thing on the news, and they were talking about how, by design of the water filtration system in the city of Richmond, that megatons of human waste, as a part of their plan, are being diverted directly into the James River, which is where everyone in this region gets their bathing water, their drinking water, their cooking water, the whatever comes on in the faucet.
Did
And
you say megatons?
I would say, yeah, I think it was close to megatons, but you can look that up. That's thousands of tons, right?
As far as I'm aware, yes.
Okay. Well, in any event, it's thousands. From what I understand, it's maybe gallons, maybe not tons. Sorry, gallons. Sorry. Mega gallons. Hundreds of thousands of gallons. Yeah, I misspoke. We can get exact numbers, but again, I put the video of this happening on my YouTube channel 6 years ago, when I would walk Max down by the James River every day, and this is not a secret. I mean, you can see it. It's through walking trails. I mean, it's different places all around the James River where they just open up the sewers and put all the raw sewage in there. And so you can see this, especially when the river reaches crests at high levels. And there's signage explaining this, saying how it's a good thing. This is good, this is acceptable that we put this raw sewage in there. So it's no sort of, they're not denying it. It was up on probably my original YouTube channel, which existed from before it was removed by YouTube, not by me, from 2008 to early 2017. So nearly 10 years. This YouTube channel existed before it was taken down for censorship reasons. And so years later, the news is acting like they're telling you something important. If you go down to the river, you can see this firsthand. There's a sign telling you that they're doing it in different places where they're doing this around the river. And at least I have videotaped it, described this, pointed it to the raw sewage, the turds flowing into the river on video while I'm witnessing this, and then a sign right next to this saying, like, yeah, we're putting raw sewage in your drinking water, and it's good and it's great. So yeah, Cliff, did you look up to see how many it was? Maybe I can see if we can find this. But my point being is, these guys, the news, after the fact, they're all acting as if they have done some sort of investigative, activity to find this stuff out that's just basically public knowledge. And they're years late on it. But they act like we're on your side. It's really ridiculous. Gallons of sewage in James River. And again, this river is this is the river that is it's basically you can make arguments for the York River.
The first thing that pulled up when I looked it up was 11 billion gallons.
11 billion gallons. That's what I got to. Between 2014, which is the year that I told you that I first started noticing this, and that's why I didn't notice it before, but I noticed it in 2014 and 2018, more than 11 billion gallons of untreated wastewater, raw sewage, went into the James River, according to combined sewer system records from the city. In 2018, a particularly wet year, more than 3.3 billion gallons flooded into the James River in Richmond. So that's just in Richmond.
I don't know how many stats people need to hear. I mean, I saw someone say that $100,000 a day was spent on like incarceration in Tennessee, and that's far too much money to spend on putting people in cages unlawfully. But that's nothing compared to like just the numbers. Like 100,000 a day for like 3.3. It's just mind-boggling how who accepts this? Who
accepts this?
No, this is a complete disgrace. This society isn't trash.
Right. I mean, it's so disgusting that even the people reporting this are like so disgusting, because it's like, I don't have the resources they do. I go down and I'm like, oh, they got raw sewage. This is flowing right into the river. Oh yeah, all these guys, all these college students, in their bathing suits, jumping into the river, splashing around. They're splashing around in these areas where they are dumping this toxic brew by the billions of gallons into where they're frolicking. I mean, and they go like, oh yeah, there's these flesh-eating bacteria, and don't swim in the James River at this time because it's flesh-eating bacteria. Oh, and this bacteria, this flesh-eating thing, got into this child's brain, and now they're dead. Oh, and this college student, oh yeah, flesh-eating bacteria in the brain, now they're dead from swimming in the James River. Don't swim in the James. They don't tell you it's not flesh. It's because they put raw sewage in your drinking water and where you go swimming. And people eat fish out of that body of water. Are you kidding? Lots of people. Lots of people. They take those catfish. And they take that bass and they eat it. They'll even eat the eels out of there.
As you said, the level of deception is very disgusting. I have to go here, Chris, but it's been a great show as usual. Peace, God bless, peace, much love, keep searching for truth. Again, for anyone with any common sense, don't vote. They're all criminals. None of them represent you as would the legitimate American government. I mean, because they're not the legitimate American government. They're just a bunch of criminals and child rapists. But anyway, I'll be off. Great show as always. Peace.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot, Cliff. Peace. All right. Bill Wright says, when I first heard Chris say the BIS was above international law, I had to look it up myself. Chris is never wrong. Check out the Bank for International Settlements Immunity Act. I only have issue with one part of that, and that is Chris is never wrong. I'm wrong a lot. I'm maybe wrong less than most people, but when I'm talking about this stuff, I'm not wrong. I'm never wrong when I'm talking about this stuff. And so like I don't want to like jump into like and be pedantic about that, but that is true. When I'm talking about important facts, I'm not wrong because it's not my facts. I just know them. It's not me. I didn't make the facts up. I just know about what the fact is. So again, everybody should never be wrong about this sort of thing because that's how it works. That's how it works. So let's look this up. Now that is mentioned, Bank for International Settlements, okay. And then Bank for International Settlements Immunity Act. All right. So all right. All right. So I'm having a difficult time looking this up. Bank for International Settlements. Nope. IMUNITY Immunity Act. Bank for International Settlements Immunity Act. The Bank for International Settlements, its property, and any property entrusted to it are exempt from measures referred to in Article 1 of Protocol regarding immunities of the Bank for International Settlements that was ratified by Canada on January 20th, 1938. Here's BIS Protocols for Immunity. I don't want to keep that file. Okay, this is the protocol regarding, this is for the UK. The duty of authorized representatives of His Majesty the King of the Belgians, the government of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, the government of blah, 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 His Majesty the King, blah, 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 Emperor, okay, in accordance with Article 10, Paragraph 2 of the agreement with Germany, which was signed at The Hague. So this is something different from what we were looking for, but this is just more of the information about how there were agreements between all of the principalities of Europe with the Bank for International Settlements on July of 1936. That's what they were using to finance the so-called Second World War and the building up of the Second World War. Okay, so we're going to look up Financial Stability Board. Financial Stability Board and immunity. Immunity against prosecution. So, yeah, these are the rules that the Bank for International Settlements, through their subordinate entity called the Financial Stability Board, it makes it illegal for any individuals to prosecute them. Any nation state, any court, anywhere. So, okay. Immunities, no, okay. Liability and immunity arrangements. All right, let's read what Bill Wright has to say. The Bank for International Settlements, its property, any property entrusted to it are exempt from the measures referred to in Article 1 of the Protocol regarding the immunities of the Bank for International Settlements that was ratified by Canada on January. That's what I just read. Let's see. Maybe we'll look up this. Okay. Immunity. We're going to look up all the plenaries men. All the plenary. God bless America. This thing. All the plenary
90 seconds.
Men. All the plenaries men. FSB for Financial Stability Board. All the plenaries men. Let's see. Let's see what it has to say.
60 seconds.
Nope. Doesn't. Let's see. UK column has done something about this. Yeah. Let's see. Yep. Okay. All right. They wrote a long article, and here we go. This is from Financial Stability Board. All right. Here we go.
10 seconds.
Okay, here we go. The documentary also presents compelling evidence suggests that international agreements such as the Headquarters Agreement of the Bank for International Settlements provides officials of this banking cartel with immunity from jurisdiction for acts accomplished in the discharge of their duties, even after such persons have ceased to be officials at the bank. In addition, Article 3 of the Headquarters Agreement requires that all documents and any data, media belonging to the bank or in its possession shall be inviolable at all times and in all places. Article 3. Immunity presents a considerable obstacle which could prevent prosecutors from gaining access to documentary or other required evidence. There you go. They have immunity. I found a little bit of what we were looking for in this Headquarters Agreement. This is agreement between Swiss Federal Council and the Bank for International Settlements. It's giving them full immunity through something called the Financial Stability Board and inviolability. The buildings or parts of buildings surrounding land which whoever may be the owner thereof are used for purposes of the bank shall be inviolable. No agent of public authorities may enter therein without express consent. The bank, here we go. That's Article 3. The archives of the bank and in general, all documents and any data media belonging to the bank or in its possession shall be inviolable, and that's INVOLABLE, at all times and in all places. The bank shall exercise supervision of and police power over its premises. The bank shall enjoy immunity from jurisdiction in civil or commercial suits arising from banking or financial transactions. All right, it goes on. You guys can look all this stuff up yourself. One thing that's important is the definition of inviolable. Never to be broken, infringed, or dishonored. So there you go. There you go. So this bank is never to be broken. Their immunity is never to be broken, infringed, or dishonored, regardless of any criminal activity at any point. And any individual acting on behalf of the Bank for International Settlements, no matter what criminal activity they've done, will never be prosecuted in any way because of the rules of the Bank for International Settlements and the Financial Stability Board. Their excuse is because that would affect the financial stability of the global economy. But in fact, what the real issue is that they can use this, and do use this, to launder money from human trafficking, drug trafficking, war profiteering, any crime that you can think of. Look at Deutsche Bank. Look at HSBC. Look at Wells Fargo. Look at Bank of America. They've all done that. All the other banks in the world, all of the largest ones, they've all done that anyway. And how do they get away with that? With nobody going to jail? Nobody losing their job? Nobody getting sanctioned financially? Because they have immunity to any and all quote-unquote jurisdiction. Who would agree to this? Who would agree? Nobody. Nobody. But that's the way it goes. All right, we're going to close it out with that. It's Chris Dorsey signing off. Peace and God bless.